it's a hotel brand that's been around for a long time, be it Wyndham or Marriott or a newer offering like Sonder or Domio, which is playing in a similar space. Co-living sort of fits in the middle there, right? Because it has the flexibility to be able to take on a space for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and that's part of our value proposition. But it also speaks to a global citizen, to your point, of people wanting to move around the world.
Christine here with another episode of the Co-Living Code Show, also the founder of Kindred software for the co-living industry. And I want to start by saying, I know it's a difficult time for some operators during COVID right now this summer. So we are bringing on some operators onto the Kindred management software platform at no charge for a few months, just to kind of get you guys by. So definitely reach out to our team, see if you qualify. We're happy to help in any way we can during these interesting times in our world. So let's launch right into this week's episode. Rui has held a number of high-level operation positions with Wyndham Hotel Group. Prior to leading the North American business, he was based in London, where he served as president and managing director for Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Indian Ocean, responsible for Wyndham Hotel Group's development, operations, and cross-functional brand initiatives throughout the region. He joined Wyndham Hotel Group in 1998 as Director of Regional Marketing, and through his tenure held a number of high-level operation positions within the organization. Among them, Vice President of Group Operations, in which he played an instrumental role in establishing the company's field operation efforts, and Senior Vice President of Operations, Latin America, in which he provided oversight for all of Wyndham Hotel Group's brands and services in that region. And prior to Wyndham Hotel Group, he served in a variety of regional and property level management roles with organizations such as Sora Management, Inc. in Las Vegas, and the Marquise and the Racquet Club, both in Palm Springs, California. Rui is a graduate of the Southeastern Academy of Travel and Tourism in Florida. He was honored with a Rising Star Award in 2001 by Travel Agent magazine, recognizing him as one of the travel agency's top 100 leaders. Rui joined WeWork in April 2016 as the SVP of Global Operations, utilizing his nearly 3 decades of hospitality experience to serve as a center of excellence and introduce best practices for WeWork space, community, and services globally. He oversaw all aspects of the company's fast-growing business for WeWork's largest market, including management, sales, operations, marketing, and more for WeWork's 40 buildings and tens of thousands of members across New York City. Rui is fluent in Portuguese and conversational Spanish. He resides in both Manhattan and New Jersey, where he enjoys an active lifestyle and unwinds by playing guitar. Again, he just stepped in to Quarters as CEO. He was COO prior to that at Quarters. Again, really excited we brought him on. Amazing conversation. So let's launch right into it. So we are bringing on Rui, the new CEO of Quarters, which Quarters hasn't come on the show yet. So we are excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Christine.
Cool. So I know you came on as COO back in November. We're in June right now. So I'd love for you to catch us up on how you took on that role.
Yeah. Well, I guess it goes way back to my belief in community. I'm a hospitality guy by trade. I've been in hospitality for the last 30 years. I always had a passion for it. My dad, worked in restaurants, so I got introduced to the hospitality business through him at an early age. I always enjoyed that part of the business. And so for 30 years, I've been in hospitality, but I always had a love of community. And the reason I say that is my parents were immigrants or are immigrants. They moved from Portugal to the United States. I was only 3 years old, so it was a while back. But, when I think back to how they settled in, their success was heavily dependent on the people around them, the community they tapped into. So a real passion for community And my world began to collide with that mission, right, of like creating opportunities for people to come together and help one another in a meaningful way. And so a lot of that came to life through the hospitality space and the hotel brands that I worked with. WeWork for sure was a roller coaster ride, but I was there 3 years and really bought into the mission there. And that as much as they were redefining the workspace, their mission was to bring people together in a meaningful way to help one another. Really focused on entrepreneurs and all of that. So I really bought into that mission. When I left, I went back into the hotel space. I worked with a brand called Avitas, which was again an amazing experience. We were developing hotels around the world, but again, the ethos there was to create an amazing experience that people can enjoy. But the whole premise was to bring people together in a spontaneous way, where they can share experiences and things of that nature. So co-living was a natural transition for me. When you think about it, in my view is that human connection just in general is something the world needs more of. I really believe to my core that people can grow and thrive by connecting with other people. So that's how I made my way back to co-living. And I had a little bit of experience with co-living with WeWork because we live there, couple buildings. Hadn't perfected that model at WeWork. The We Live model wasn't and still isn't growing. But I found Quarters and back last November, as you said, and it's been a hell of a ride since. It's an organization that started in 2012. So it's been around for a little while, and it's multinational. So it's got a footprint across three different countries. So I was really attracted to it because they have a pretty significant footprint already, or we do, and there's an opportunity to grow and actually make an impact on people's lives. So that's why I joined. And it's been great.
No, and it's like you've got this perfect trifecta of background. I mean, you didn't even mention Wyndham yet. So you're at Wyndham for a long, long time. That's hospitality. You're at WeWork for co-working. You were at Habitas, which is more, I love their ethos. It's an incredible company. It's just this amazing trifecta of different sectors that kind of converge together, right?
Yeah, Wyndham was a great experience as well. It's a public company, one of the largest hotel companies in the world. I was very fortunate. I was there 17 years. I mean, it's a lifetime these days. But I really enjoyed the ride. It gave me an opportunity to grow brands, and I have a real affinity and love for that. Meaning, if you're going to build a brand, you have a brand promise. You need to deliver on that brand promise consistently. And I was fortunate enough to be to work with tremendously talented people, and to have that. But I was also happy to join WeWork, to be honest. I mean, and I realized they're in the news, and some of it's interesting to read. But having been there while they were scaling and growing, and also getting me a little bit closer to their vision and their mission, it was really a powerful place. Even the people that have left since really have a love for the brand, and a lot of it was tied to this, to a belief that we can make an impact on people's lives. So it's been good. But co-living solves so many problems, Christine. It really does. The economics work. Obviously, it solves a lot of problems as it relates to affordable housing or accessible housing in big cities. You have young adults that want to move to New York City or wherever it is, and they struggle with it. It's not cheap, and then some people just don't know anyone, so they parachute into New York City and they don't know where to go or who to interact with, and that's where community comes into play. So co-living, whether it's us or any of the other brands that are out there, really begins to solve a big problem. And I'm of the belief that loneliness is an epidemic, and is a very dangerous thing. And co-living begins to solve that problem as well.
And you're located in New York, correct?
I'm on Long Island. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm based in New York City. Based in Manhattan, but I live on Long Island.
Nice. And then, so, with that Wyndham experience, you're like the perfect person to ask this question. Do you see, sooner than later that co-living is going to have like a membership option where people can kind of jump around to different properties around the world?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of parallels between hotel brands and what they offer in co-living. You have multifamily or traditional multifamily on one side of the spectrum. You have short stay on the other side of the spectrum. Whether it's a hotel brand that's been around for a long time, be it Wyndham or Marriott, or a newer offering like Sonder or Domio, which is playing in a similar space. Co-living sort of fits in the middle there, right? Because it has the flexibility to be able to take on that space for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and that's part of our value proposition. But it also speaks to global citizens, to your point, of people wanting to move around the world. We're finding that there's more people around the world. They want that flexibility. Remote work, particularly, becoming more prevalent. So that there is will likely be type of like membership allows you to move from one to the next, New York, and then move on to Berlin or Amsterdam, wherever.
Okay, so switched rooms because we had a little internet situation, so that's why the background changed. So welcome back, and where we left off was talking about, and I know this is like not, I don't know if this is the right word. People shy away from the word timeshare, but do you see that model, whether it's fractional ownership, whatever you want to call it, being translated over to co-living?
Yeah, I don't know. Whether we call it timeshare or fractional ownership. I think people will be less inclined to buy real estate in the future. I think what we'll see more of are people investing more in experiences, right, and being able to have the flexibility to move around the world seamlessly. And I think the other piece that people will really be attracted to as a community and having a network of people. So, if you're in the gig economy, for example, and you're very you're very flexible in terms of moving around. If you have the ability to spend 3 months in Berlin, be connected almost immediately into a network of people that you can identify with and get to know the city and really get infused in the culture, I think people will definitely be interested in something like that. Whether we call it timeshare, fractional ownership, I don't know. I think it's just flexibility and mobility. I think there'll be global mobility. Will continue to be something that people are searching for. I don't necessarily think people are looking to be nailed down in one particular place.
And then what about I don't know if, obviously they can jump around from quarters properties, and they trust the brand and they would do that. Do you see any possible partnerships? And again, with other co-living operators, other brands, to try to expand that network of, okay, you guys have access to all, you're paying a monthly membership or annual membership, and you can jump between all these properties in all these cities.
I do, Christine. I do. I see the co-living, the co-living space as being one that's very collaborative. By nature, that's who we are, right? If we're in this space now, it's because we believe in connection and collaboration. So I think there is a space for it, and I think we'll see more of it. But it will be, at least from our perspective, I can only speak for quarters, but the partners that we select need to align with our core values. It needs to be accretive to what we stand for as a brand, because our members depend on that. So if we bring partners to the table, that don't necessarily align with our shared values, it's not a good fit. So I do think it's a collaborative space. It's by nature it is, right. A co-living is all about bringing people together and helping one another. So and where we have an opportunity to partner and actually broaden the reach, so that we're providing people, our members, an opportunity to connect with a broader audience all day long. We will do that all day long. But it would just need to align with our core vision, our core values.
No, perfect. That makes total sense. And, I know you had the CEO role there for just 5 months, pretty short, but what are some these future things you guys are going to start putting into place that you're excited about?
Yeah, well, our growth is one thing I'm super excited about, right? So we've established ourselves in three different countries. We're going to continue to double down on those countries, and we've been talking about expanding into other countries in the EU. But as it stands right now, we have an opportunity to really expand our reach in the United States, and that's going to be a real strong focus of ours. So while we have a presence in New York, we have a presence in DC, we have a presence in Chicago, we'll be opening some additional buildings in New York as well as Philadelphia. Austin's in our pipeline that will open. Miami, we just signed a deal not too long ago. Wynwood, which we're super excited about. Take a couple of years for that one to open, but I'm really excited about our growth. And the reason I'm excited about our growth is obviously it's great for business, but it's more about the impact, right? And putting our brand out there with an offering that is that people see value in, and it goes back to our the original mission of bringing people together in a meaningful way. So I'm super excited about that. I am excited about this notion of building partnerships that add value for our members. You just mentioned that earlier. I'm super excited about that as well. So the part of that will be hyper local. So we want to make sure that our members, if they join us in New York, that we're helping them, understand the neighborhood that they're moving into. Like, what's the best pizza joint? If you're looking for a cool, kind of relaxed environment, this is the pub you want to go to, or this is the corner bar that you want to check out. So I'm super excited about expanding that for our members, and building on the programming we already have. The programming that we do is it's pretty cool. I love what we're doing right now. We're doing a lot of virtual stuff, obviously, because of the current environment. But we want to do more. We want to find ways to bring our members together. It doesn't necessarily have to be in our own space. So we're looking at ways that we can actually be creative with that. So I'm excited about that. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see how the space evolves. There are other companies, other brands out there. They're growing. You're in the space, Christine. So it'll be really exciting to see how this industry evolves over the next few years, and it will continue to evolve. And I really do believe there's how the hotel brands have grown over the years. And I was with Wyndham 17, so I saw a lot of it. I can see co-living living in a similar space. At some point you might even have tiering. You might have, you may have a brand that caters to a specific type of clientele. Talking a lot about the customer continuum. And, we all change, we all evolve, you graduate college, you're ready to, get started. You're in a certain stage in your life. After a few years, you've established yourself, and maybe now you're looking for more private space, and maybe you're in a relationship, or, and eventually maybe you get married, maybe you don't, but you have kids. There's life has a continuum, right? And things just kind of change. So it'll be really interesting to see how this space will evolve over time to provide a solution for each one of those stages in your life.
No, and you're right when you talk about the hotels and the tiered model, because just like, there's Ritz-Carlton, then there's Marriott, then there's Holiday Inn. So it's kind of these different segments that co-living really hasn't broken all into yet. So I think you're right.
I think I think it's going to be really cool to see how that evolves. And this notion of like a membership program or a loyalty program. When you look at some of the big brands, out there, Marriott, Wyndham, Hilton, there's a lot of value in in their loyalty program. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates into the co-living space.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Is that something you guys know? And I've thought of that too. I'm shocked there isn't one quite yet. Is that something Quarters has looked into?
yeah, we're looking at it, right? I mean, there has to be a strong value there. You asked me earlier about this notion of mobility and like having the ability to move through our inventory. We're looking into that. We want to facilitate that. We want to make that easy. You know, and we want to make it easy as much as you wanting to move from one unit to another unit, another bedroom within a building, as much as we want you to make it seamless to move to something across the world, right? So yeah, I think there's a space for that. We haven't figured it out yet, but I mean, if you guys have some great ideas, we'll be happy to take them.
Yeah, no, and I'm trying to remember the name. There's a big property management company, national one here in the States. They have like a loyalty program. I think you get like credit off your rent depending on how much you renew the lease. So yeah, again, I think it's something, in the horizon that co-living is going to implement something similar, like the airlines, like the hotels, because that's that's a massive program. We all know once we rack up, it's almost gamifying things, right? You rack up points, you could turn it in for something. So yeah, no, that's cool. And then so how many and I'm asked all three separate categories. So we've got, I want to know your beds under current management, or that can actually be occupied as of now, future pipeline with agreement signed, and then like future, all the big pipeline.
Okay, awesome. So we have 3,000 beds between the United States, Germany, and the Netherlands. The biggest footprint being Germany, because that's where the brand was founded back in 2012. So that is our current footprint. Looking forward to your question of what do we have in the pipeline? We have several buildings that are going to open, a couple buildings that are open this year. And then several that are in the pipeline to open in 21 and 2022, because some of our projects are new construction. Actually, majority of them are. But in addition to that, so we have another 4,400 beds in our pipe. I had to look at my notes just to make sure I had the number right. But it was 4,400 that's in our pipe, and with that 4,400. A big portion of that is the United States. So I talked about that earlier in terms of our growth and how I'm excited about that. But the idea is we will continue to grow in Germany. We will grow in the Netherlands, but the explosive growth is going to be here in the United States. So a lot of that 4,400 will actually be in the U.S.
And then do you know any 5-year, I don't know if you guys are growing so fast, so it's probably hard to forecast, like a 5-year plan of how many beds under management.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have forecasts. We definitely want to grow. We want to grow smart. Off the top of my head, to me, it's about milestones, Christine. So, I would love for us to reach our 10,000 mark, which is a milestone. And we have it placed in our our forecast in a certain way, but a lot of it will depend on finding the right partners and the right deals. One thing we definitely want to grow, but we want to grow smart. It's having been with WeWork, it was growth, right? Like hyper growth. Get to millions and millions of members. In our case, we do want to grow, but we're going to experience slower growth than obviously WeWork. But for me, it's more about the right partner, the right location, the right product, and the right offering. Because I think we owe it to our members, our existing members, and our future members, to pick the right locations. So the 4,400 that I mentioned that are in our pipeline, we vetted those out. We've aligned with where they're located, working really hard on the product. So we're excited about that. Will we continue to grow at that pace? We'll see. The intent is to continue to grow. but I don't want to. I don't think the team wants to compromise the brand as a result. So it will be in alignment with what we're trying to accomplish as a company.
Yeah. No, and fair enough. You can't compare people using desks versus people finding an actual home.
Place to live.
It's
Yeah.
impossible to scale them, as fast. So fair enough. Do you guys own any of the buildings?
We do not. No, we don't own. Our business model is currently master leases. We are and will manage as well. But no, we don't own any of our assets. We have partners. We have partners that will be and are willing to buy assets and then either structure a lease with us or a management contract with us to operate. So that we'll continue to look for. We'll continue to look for partners that make sense, that again are accretive to the brand, believe in our mission, our vision, where we're headed. But no, it's going to be much more of we're much more of an asset light model. We're not gonna carry any buildings on our balance sheet.
Got it. No, and that's another way to scale quicker. So you guys
Mm-hmm.
are doing both master leases and like management agreements separately.
Yeah, and we're super excited about management agreements. So we have a proven track record, so that's nice, right? We've been around for a while. We cut our teeth in Germany and established a really strong track record in Europe that helped us propel our growth into the Netherlands, which was great. The U.S., we're just we have several buildings now. So now that and these are under master leases, and we're operating them. We now can look back and take a look at our ramp ups and all of that stuff to be able to support ourselves as an operator. And so I'm excited about that part, because we have a very talented team. There's been a few changes, but we've added some great people. I really believe that that's something that we can grow. And I think landlords will see the value in it. So we'll continue to entertain master leases, but we are definitely bullish about management agreements.
Awesome. And then I know recently, if you want to talk about it, you guys just closed your B round, which is exciting, just in January.
Yeah, we're excited about that. Yeah.
And that's a growth round, essentially, right? Just growing.
Yeah, it's getting us to, we're going to continue to invest and in the business, and the intent is to grow. So, and that's why we raised. So, and and on the heels of that, the pipeline we already have, it will support the pipeline we have, but it's also there to help us grow even more than that. So, we're excited about it.
Perfect. And so backing up to like kind of the programming you guys are putting in place and have already have in place. Again, I'm a member of Summit, which I know is very similar to Habitas.
Yeah.
There's tons of crossover, and you guys are so amazing also building community. So are you bringing some of that ethos over to Quarters?
Yeah, and I loved my time at Habitas, by the way. I mean, I consider that group of people part of my family. The intent is to bring those ethos. I'm a big fan of the why behind everything. To give a shout out to Simon, and it was one of the first. And Avitas was a real believer in that too. That brand was really built on this notion of bringing people together in a meaningful way, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for the people associated with that, which are tied to Summit and other organizations that share a lot of those ethos. One of the first things we did at Quarters when I joined was actually a strategy session around our why, and really understanding at our core, what is it that we're trying to do as an organization? Why does Quarters exist? It certainly isn't just delivering beds. Anybody can do that. What we walked away with was that we have a profound commitment towards this notion of bringing people together, because we believe that people can grow and strive off of that. Personally, professionally, so that is our why. Right now, that will come to life through the physical space. I mean, beautifully designed spaces, and we provide you the things that you need. One-stop shop, flexibility, all the things that you would need to feel comfortable. But the real magic, I think, happens. Optfest was the same way. The real magic happens when you bring people together. So that's gonna, we're doing that today. But I'm excited about what the next step of that looks like. And how do we continue to add value where people come together? So, for example, if you're a young professional and you're landing in New York City for the first time, and you're from, I don't know, Asia, or wherever you might be, if you have a strong interest in, and maybe you have an internship, for example, in financial services, wouldn't it be amazing if through our network you had the opportunity to connect with someone else that's within that space that could become a mentor or can help you grow professionally? Or conversely, let's use the same example, but you're an avid skier and you're so passionate about skiing. Well, let's find a way to bring you and connect you with other people that share that passion. So I'm really excited about that. So the ethos, back to your question, this notion of bringing people together in a meaningful way is something we're definitely committed to.
And love that you say a meaningful way, not just throwing random events to throw events, but yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Meaningful way makes a big difference. Thank you so much again. I know you're a busy guy. I'm so glad you came on this week. One last question. Sure. Where do you see co-living in 10 years as an industry? So the year 2030, which will be here before we know it.
2030. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it actually will be here pretty quick. If you think about 10 years ago, right? And where we are now. I see it as a bona fide asset class. I see it as a real solution for developers, where might even be sort of this mixed use approach, right? Where developers will be looking at co-living as a strong option for their projects. So that's how I see it on the development side. So I do think that it will be established as a bona fide asset class. It's already getting there. In the U.S., it's a little bit further behind than the EU, but it's gonna get there. And I see also. I see it paralleling with the hotel brands, to be honest, Christine. I think, and it's a space I'm really familiar with. I was fortunate to launch brands, grow brands, all of that. I think that's what you're going to see in the co-living space. I think you're going to see something very similar where people will be connected to a specific brand. That brand might have tiers that, you'll be able to move throughout the world seamlessly, and I think you'll see certain brands grow in a way where they become dominant in the space, much like a Marriott or a Hilton or Wyndham. So I think that's what's going to happen, and I also think that people will be less inclined to buy real estate, to buy homes. Yeah. I really feel like people would rather invest in other things rather than their own home. So it'll be interesting to see how the real estate market actually, evolves over time. But having a 24-year-old myself, I mean, I see his habits and I know what he's looking for and what his friends are looking for, and it's definitely not what I was looking for when I was that age. So I think that you'll start to see a desire for people to be more flexible, be more minimalists in terms of what they own and have with them, and they'd rather be able to move through the world and use their resources for experiences and connection. I think that's what we're going to see in 10 years.
Oh yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, definitely experiences. They'd much rather do that than buy a home. It's all about the experiences and the connection these days. Awesome. Well, Rui, thank you again so much for coming on. It was amazing having you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Christine. I really appreciate it. Enjoy the I guess the last of the quarantine. Let's hope. And
hope so.
Yeah, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Bye.